This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Jason Goldman. Let's say you have a dog, or maybe you're watching a friend's pup. You have a treat in your hand, so you have the dog's attention. Then you put the treat into a doggy-proof box and let them figure it out. What do you think the dog will do? If you're a dog owner, you probably know. Spike or Spot or Miss Fluffy will probably try in vain for a while. But soon they'll probably turn back to you with those puppy dog eyes, with a look that's both hurt, why would you make it so hard for them after all, and pleading. That, it turns out, is a sophisticated cognitive phenomenon called referential communication. It's an attempt to shift the human's attention towards the problem. And dogs, as it turns out, aren't the only species who can do this. In 2003, a Hungarian biologist named Adam Miklósi tested this ability with an experiment. He gathered a handful of dogs and a group of wolves. Both groups of canines had been hand-raised from birth by people in much the same way. He put a piece of food inside of that doggy-proof box. The wolves kept trying and failing to get the food inside. And we already know what the dogs did. Alan McElligott, an animal cognition researcher at the City University of Hong Kong, wanted to push this test further. He wanted to move beyond dogs versus wolves.
The discussions of those papers and the discussion in the press is all about them being domesticated closely by humans.
He thinks that there's more to the story. What if animals don't need to be domesticated, but instead simply need to be socialized? Maybe it's not that dogs are especially social, but instead that wolves are just especially stubborn.
So we came along in 2016 and did the work on goats and showed that actually it's probably a general domestic animal thing. It's nothing to do with being domesticated as a companion animal.
In a new study, he's gone even further. Enter kangaroos.
And kangaroos generally haven't been used for any of that sort of research. I think most people, when I emailed them and suggested, this problem-solving task with kangaroos, they thought I was kind of a bit mad or some really eccentric scientist.
McElligott rounded up a group of marsupials from 3 different zoos and sanctuaries. In all, he tested 3 different species: Kangaroo Island kangaroos, eastern gray kangaroos, and red kangaroos. Of 11 animals tested, 10 of them passed, turning their gaze back to McElligott. And of the 10 who turned to look at him, 9 kangaroos actively shifted their gaze between the box and the human. The results were published in December in the journal Biology Letters.
This domestication hypothesis for all these behaviors, we've over-relied on it. And I'm not saying that, kangaroos are just as good as dogs or anything like that. But I'm saying the cognitive capabilities of wild animals that are habituated to humans have probably been underestimated.
McElligott says that it's not enough to study domesticates and their wild counterparts like dogs and wolves. That's why he decided to try kangaroos, which were never domesticated.
You can't deduce the effects of domestication on animal behavior, animal cognition by only studying domesticated animals. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but it's important. So you need to see what the other ones are capable of doing if they're used to being around people.
McElligott says that the pouched marsupials offer up a whole set of possibilities for understanding evolution of social cognition. And he's now turned his attention to yet another unexpected species, the Asian water buffalo. Thanks for listening.
OK， 这篇刚开始在讲说做狗的实验，然后可能在讲社交什么之类的吧，因为我听到 communicate with 什么个，好，然后后来他们换了一种物种，然后是换了一些他们想不到的物种，像是 kangaroo， 然后他们有说什么有10组里面有9组在做实验的时候离开，眼神离开那个箱子。我不知道他在讲什么，对。但他要说他接下来也会找一些更想不到的物种来做实验。那详细内容我可能有点恍神，这样没听到。
这次应该是先用了狗跟狼它们来做，应该是食物吧，我在猜，就是好像一个物种比较会去联合起来，一种物种是比较会去找食物之类的吧，我不太确定。然后呢，接下来他就去找了 kangaroo，袋鼠，因为他们可能觉得说如果单一个物种的话不太准，所以他们后来就找了那个，然后一样去测试一样的东西啊。我详细的我还是不知道在干嘛。